Picture this. You're scrolling through your feed. Birthday parties, beach trips, gym selfies, everyone performing their best life for an invisible audience. And then there's that one person. No photos, no captions, no trace. They exist in real life, you've seen them, but online, it's like they've chosen to disappear. Here's the thing, most people get completely wrong about them. They're not broken, they're not bitter, they're not hiding. According to psychology, they might actually be operating at a higher level than almost everyone else online. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the fascinating science behind people who don't post their photos on social media. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you might start questioning your own relationship with the camera. Number 1, privacy as power. For them, privacy isn't a weakness, it's a weapon. Most of us have been conditioned to think that if you're not visible, you don't matter. Post or be forgotten. Share or disappear. But psychologists studying what's called privacy orientation have found something counterintuitive. People who deliberately guard what they share online aren't shrinking from the world. They're choosing the world they want to live in. Think of it this way. A vault isn't empty because nothing's inside. It's locked because what's inside is valuable. These people have simply decided that their moments, their joy, their growth, their life doesn't need an audience to be real. And in a culture addicted to external validation, that kind of quiet self-possession is rare. Number 2, they know who they are. They don't need a mirror held up by strangers. There's a concept in psychology called self-concept clarity. Basically, how clearly and consistently you understand who you actually are. Research shows that people who post less tend to score higher on this scale. They've already done the inner work. They know their values. They know what they stand for. They know what kind of person they're becoming. And when you already have that kind of internal compass, you stop looking for confirmation from people who barely know you. Here's the uncomfortable truth about constant posting. For many people, it's not self-expression. It's a question disguised as a caption. Do you see me? Do I matter? Am I enough? The people who don't post, they already answer that question for themselves, by themselves. Number 3, confidence that doesn't need an audience. Their confidence has no off switch. Psychologists distinguish between 2 types of self-esteem. The first is contingent. It rises and falls based on what people think of you. You post, you get likes, you feel good. The likes stop, the anxiety starts. The second type is secure self-esteem. It doesn't need fuel from the outside, it just runs. People who rarely post their photos tend to carry this second type. They're not posting selfies to prove their worth because they don't experience themselves as people who need to prove anything. That might sound simple, but in 2025, where entire psychological industries exist around social validation loops, it's actually extraordinary. They've opted out of the game entirely. Not because they're losing, because they never needed to play. Number 4, the thinker, not the performer. They're watching the world instead of performing for it. You've probably heard the phrase, think before you speak. These people have extended that to every digital interaction. Psychologists call this an internal locus of evaluation, meaning the ultimate judge of whether something is worth doing, sharing, or saying is the person themselves, not the crowd. This is why when they do speak up in real life or online, people listen, because they don't waste words. They don't noise post. When something comes from them, it means something. There's a certain power in being the person in the room who says the least, but gets quoted the most. These are those people. Number 5, they see the illusion clearly. They've seen behind the curtain and they can't unsee it. Social comparison theory, one of the most replicated findings in all of social psychology, tells us that humans are hardwired to measure themselves against others. Social media didn't invent that instinct. It just handed it a fire hose. Every perfectly lit photo, every casually posed milestone, every highlight reel masquerading as real life, it all feeds a machine designed to make you feel like your life is slightly less than. And here's the brutal irony. Most of the people posting those perfect moments don't feel perfect either. They're running the same comparison loop, just from the other side. The people who stay offline, they've clocked this. They've chosen peace over performance, reality over the real. That's not naivety, that's wisdom. So the next time someone tells you that a person is weird for not being on social media or antisocial for keeping their life offline, consider this. Maybe they're not missing out on social media. Maybe social media is missing out on them. The most grounded, self-aware, emotionally intelligent people you'll ever meet are often the ones you'll never find in a comment section. They don't need to be seen to feel seen. And if that kind of psychological depth, the real science behind why people think, feel, and behave the way they do, genuinely fascinates you, then you're in exactly the right place. Hit subscribe, because on this channel, we don't just observe human behavior. We dissect it, we decode it, and we hand the findings directly to you. New video dropping soon. Don't miss it.